Um, are the
The LaFocas are on.
focus able to stay through the meeting, because rather than have to piecemeal the agenda again, because some of the items influence that discussion, some of the preceding items.
Hi, directors, we're here.
Yeah, are you able to stay for a chunk of the meeting, because some of the last time I sort of piecemealed the agenda together, but because there are items that come up before your item number 11, and because there are other items that come up before that, that have to do with us taking any kind of vote, are you able to stay until then?
Sure. Do you have a guesstimate time? Just so I make sure we're back on. An hour?
Probably.
Okay. I'll keep checking in. I'll be listening in the background then.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave's having a problem getting on.
So with that being the case, then I think we don't need to change the agenda.
Okay. Okay. On to number 3. Any public comments? Okay. Let me check something. 4, 6. Hold on just a second. Let me.
Unmute yourself.
I was on the phone. That's why I was muted.
Oh,
I was making, Dave had the wrong number, so he should be on any second. Okay, so we're going to unfinished business for discussion vote update on Fraser Park Lake of the Wood Consolidation Planning Project. A discussion vote update on test wells. Do you want to?
Jump in there, yeah. Our bids are due on October 5th. We have 4 addenda. They've been sent to the board and to the contractors and to the bidding exchanges. So everybody should have a copy of those. And we're anticipating some good bids coming in on the 5th. And that's kind of where we are with respect to plans and specs. I had a telephone call with Jeff French today, and he, if you didn't have an opportunity to read your emails, Jeff indicated that he was good, and Emily would be reviewing it today or tonight. But the 2 concerns that they have were that our well would not interfere with the existing wells that are just to the west of us. And I indicated to him that the whole purpose for the test well was to determine if indeed we could put a municipal well there, the water quality and the yield, and to get a determination of how much yield we could get without interfering with anybody. So one of the purposes of the test well is to do that, and that we would be a good neighbor, and we are goal is not to interfere with anybody's existing well. And the other request that he had was if we could manipulate our well site to occupy just one of the parcels, they would prefer that. And I think we would too. We will have to determine which parcel that we want once, if we do want one of them, once we do our test well. And I told him that I thought that we could make that work. And if not, we could, there's always a lot line adjustment, available to us if we wanted to change lot lines around to accommodate our well, but I don't think that'll be necessary. So I should be getting a telephone call from Emily tomorrow or tonight. It's getting a little bit late for tonight, but Emily has called me, at hours other than just normal business hours. But I anticipate tomorrow we'll have a conversation. And then hopefully everything will be worked out and we'll get our agreement signed. Got my fingers crossed.
Okay, well, it sounds promising. It's been sounding promising, so let's hope so, because we need to get this wrapped up, because this really puts the kink in things if we don't have that agreement.
Yes. I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Okay, on to B, discussion vote on labor compliance services.
So, can I?
Yeah, go
Address-
ahead, Go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
So, we had looked over the proposal for labor compliance services, and we're okay with it, except for the fact that the bid was changed to only 2 test wells instead of 3. And so that when we talked to the state of California on our ad hoc meeting, they advised us that the price should be less than what was being charged. We were trying to move money over to cover. We only have $5,000 actually set aside for this in the planning budget. So, and the price had come to over $6,000. So we made those changes were made based on Dee's, bid for only 2 test wells. And it went back to the company. Dee sent it back to the company for a new proposal. The new proposal, unfortunately, they changed the pricing, so it actually got more expensive because the way that they were figuring the pricing was based on a percentage for each, for certain categories of tiers of dollar amount, and they actually changed that percentage when we went back to them. But because there's a time crunch, it's still, we have $5,000 in the planning budget right now. It comes to $5,040 based on their new numbers. And so I'm proposing, you may want to add some stuff to this, but I'm proposing that we go forward with the labor compliance services, and we either see if $40 can be moved from elsewhere in the planning budget. I know that we saved some money on the title reports because those are now being paid by self-help. So we would need to ask Lawrence on the state meeting if that money could be taken out of that, or maybe taken out of the contingency. But it's only a difference of $40. So I would propose that we go ahead and vote. So I'm gonna make a motion unless there are other questions on this right now.
Would,
Okay.
Lisa,
Yes, David.
would the vote be contingent on anything?
What do you mean?
Like contingent on approval by the state to,
No, because I think that if they don't approve it, that we'll take that $40 out of our.
Yeah, we would eat that $40, because I mean, I think that we need to get moving forward on the labor compliance, and And these people are reputable and they're good. I did have a problem with the fact that they changed the percentage, but at this point, I don't think there's a lot we can do. But it pretty much conforms to our budget, except for $40. So the grand total is 5,040, and our budget is for $5,000.
So I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Well,
Okay,
she
well-
hasn't made it yet.
The motion yet. So I move that we approve the quote for labor compliance services from, oops, I've got so many papers in front of me. Let me grab, it's in here somewhere. Okay, we
Yes,
approve,
and Associates.
right, CS and Associates, Inc. So, and that we ask as part of that, I'm gonna go ahead and put that into the motion. So as part of that motion, that we approach the state to move the $40 from either the money set aside that we saved on the title reports, because that's being paid by self-help, or from the contingency, but if the state is not willing to do that, that we pay out of pocket.
I hear a
Okay, I'll
second.
second that motion.
Okay, I hear a second from Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Kelling. Director
Aye.
Gibson's absent, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, and Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried 401, one absent. Okay. Moving on to discussion vote on sphere of influence map for the annexation.
So, can I address this again?
Yes, go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
Okay, so I'd like to see us move forward on this. We did an initial vote that we, and there's a change in the minutes, but we'll get to that later on the agenda. But we did an initial vote that we move forward with a second map that deals with the district boundaries. I would, so that was already voted on, but I would like to move that we push forward with this sphere of influence map. We need a quote from D. Jasper, which we haven't gotten yet, and that we include in that the Lutheran Church, which did not get included before. So we put that at least in our sphere of influence. We can deal with the annexation later, but we add the Lutheran Church, and we
Emily Wainwright.
add the Wainwright and French parcels for now. I mean, I know we're gonna go with just one of them, but I think we may as well add both of them for the moment, for the time being. And
Are you saying Lutheran Church or the LDS Church?
I'm sorry, the LDS Church, the Lutheran Church got included, right? So the LDS Church,
Yes.
one that didn't get included.
I thought you decided to only include up to the French Wainwright property and not go farther towards Lake of the Woods till the project
The
progressed.
map was never fixed for the LDS. We never voted on it. So it needs to be in there, at least in our sphere of influence. And if we don't end up including them in the annexation, so be it. But they asked to be a part of that. We never included it. We were unsure if the state was going to pay for it. So that's why I'm proposing that that be in there.
Cool, makes sense.
And that we also move forward with, once again, asking the Lichter property if they want to be a part of. I don't know if you moved forward on that, Johnny. I know you've had an awful lot of stuff to do. So I'm going to rephrase the motion because it's got really crazy and long. So I'm suggesting that we move forward on the map with D. Jasper, and that map include the LDS Church, the French Wainwright properties, up to the French Wainwright properties. So everything up to that point, the that isn't currently in our sphere of influence, that can be the LaFoca property, the Lichter property if they're willing, and what we are able to of the Saya
Of-
property if they're willing.
And and the LDS church.
I already said that.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, Director Garcia has seconded that motion. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson is absent. Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried 4-0-1 absent.
And Dee, can you give us a proposal for the cost for amending just the sphere of influence? It wouldn't amend the annexation. It would amend the sphere of influence.
I'll do that, Lisa. I will need, I know where the LaFoca property is. The last one that you mentioned, I'll need an APN or, that's not a familiar name to me.
Oh, the Lichter.
Yes.
Yeah, it's basically right next to, we had actually asked them previous to this. So we have it as part of the list when Dave went and asked, but at the time they declined, but it's now a new owner. So I think we need to just ask the new owner once again, which we haven't done yet. If the new owner declines, then we will not include.
Okay, so Johnny will check that out and then tell me whether or not we include that property.
Yeah, and I think we just have to explain that if it, that it doesn't require them to annex, that it just puts them in the sphere of influence at such time that they want to annex into the district, that it makes it easier for them to do so.
Correct.
Sounds
Understood.
good.
Okay.
Okay. All righty. The update on advertisement for bids. I don't think there's anything with that. We're
Well,
just,
I think we might need to vote on the fourth addendum, just in principle. I'm fine with it, but it was for the 25,000 to be determined by the board, and since it's something to be determined by us, we should just put a vote on record that we're okay or not okay with it. So what is the sound
okay,
wall?
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sound wall just for the Wainwright French property, should we need it? And it's up to 25,000.
That wall temporary or permanent?
Temporary. It's so that when we're drilling that we don't disturb the neighbor. So it's one of those things that, so that's, correct me if I'm wrong, Dee. Originally, in the bid, they're not bidding to have sound walls up.
The original bid did not require them on the second bid block. One of the drillers posed the question, and we, I was thinking about it. We're quite a ways from the neighboring properties there, and we may not need it, but I decided that it would be good policy to include a number and for that, in the event that that we did want to do it. And so I included a budget number so that all the drillers would have the same number, so that there's no confusion as to just, what we're asking for here.
Right.
And so that's why the budget number's in there, so everybody.
So of course that doesn't go in their price unless they have to provide one.
It's optional at the district's discretion.
Okay.
And so that's in there for that reason.
Okay.
Question here.
Yes, Director Garcia.
Am I correct in understanding that the sound wall would only be needed on the Wainwright French properties, and that if the Saya test well proves to be productive, then because of its location and openness, we won't need that there? Or is that false?
That's correct. I don't think we need it there on the SEA property. the houses are far enough away from that property. If we get complaints, we can consider doing the same thing with that. We have a budget. What we would do at that point in time would be really what we're proposing to do with the Wainwright, and that is we would negotiate with the contractor what we wanted, and then have them give us a price, and it would be done on force account, and just to make sure that we're not overpricing and overdoing what we really need to do. So we could do it on SEA, but I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion. Did you want to do that motion, Director Schoenberg?
Sure, I'll move that we approve addendum number 4 for the bid.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Director Garcia has seconded it. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent. Director Kelling.
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I. Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0, one absent. Okay, E, discussion vote update on environmental work. That's you, Dave. You got to unmute yourself.
I contacted Tom Dodson yesterday. He emailed me this morning that with the notice of exemptions will be ready. And he said, he said in response that he's integrated Dee's valuable input and he's only waiting for the biological. If I receive it, I can have the whole package available for tonight's meeting. Working on it now, Tom. I haven't seen a copy. Did you folks get anything in the email from him?
No, I didn't get it. I didn't get any email.
Okay. So I don't know that it's to my understand it's not available. So it's still a work in progress.
So we'll probably have it by the next, our regular meeting. I would
Right.
assume.
At which time would you be ready to award it conditional upon acceptance by the state? Will the bid opening be at a certain time, Dee?
The bid opening is scheduled for 3 o'clock on the 5th.
You
And
might,
our board meeting is on the 8th.
okay.
Am I not correct? Yep, it's on the 8th. It's the day after my birthday.
Oh, October's a busy month.
Yes.
But that's what I've got on notice of exemption. So we'll certainly get that forward to the district. If we see it or if you folks see it, let us know.
Okay. And then we just have to approve it on the 8th. Is that correct? So Tiffany needs to make sure that that's on the agenda.
Okay.
Got that, Tiffany?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, great. Okay, on to F, discussion vote, update claim 5 and other claims and payout. All right. That's you, Dave.
Okay, did you folks get claim 5?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here with claim 4. And I had looked at it last night. Now I've got to find claim 4. Master. Did people have questions?
No, I had no questions. I from what I saw, you everything is correct. I checked the invoices that you have for D Jasper and Associates, and it comes to $10,493.48. And those invoices we got corrected, and they correspond to what I think is correct.
There's just a couple, there's a cleanup. I did get the updated invoice from Kelly yesterday. So what is in your email, or what I emailed to the district on the last page, it's one thing, it's one I had marked up. I have a clean copy. I can insert that clean copy in the place of the marked up one.
Yes.
And then I did send you folks a cover letter for that goes, it's a report, and it's a cover letter that goes with the claim. And it was double spaced, it was marked draft. I didn't know if you folks had any comments on that cover letter.
I read the cover. Oh, go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
I didn't see anything that I felt need to be changed.
Dee, did you have a chance to look at it?
I'll unmute myself here, Dave. No, I haven't looked at it. I think Kelly did, and there was no comment.
Actually, I'm wrong. Do we need to fix the eminent domain part on the one test well license agreement was obtained because that happened after August 31st? Do we just leave it as is?
Right, and that's, the project report is from June 1st to 2020 through August 31st, 2020.
Okay.
So I'm playing blind after that. I'm not reporting anything after that.
Yeah, I read that. I thought everything looked good as far as the progress report itself. So that was no problem. And just to let everybody know, I guess, so I guess, do we want to vote on claim 5?
Did you want me to just review the numbers a little bit, just for the?
Yes, go ahead.
total?
Yes.
I'm just going to page 3 of the claim form, and it's where it details the budget. There's a total of for planning and management administration for board charges and fees, the ad hoc committee and board fees. There's $1,833.32. That also includes staff recovery, $236.89.
Okay.
And okay, the odd number comes up because some of you folks charged $33 per hour, $33.33 an hour. I was going, what? I've got some odd numbers in here. So it's
Yeah.
not around. So some of the charges by the directors were for fractions of meetings.
Yeah,
So-
well, we charge, like if it's an hour meeting, we charge only 33. We don't, it's up to a max of $100. So anything over 3 hours, we don't get paid for.
Right. And that's for 1, 2,
Just
3,
like my
4.
6 hours yesterday, I didn't get paid for, but just to make a note.
And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ad hoc committee meetings. And there's 1, 2, 3 planning meetings that were charged under this last quarter. And then there were staff charges totaling $236 for June, July, and August. And so the total admin charge is $20,070.21. That's going to go to the state for reimbursement. And then there's engineering, test well plans and specs from D. Jasper and Associates, totaling for a number of attachments that are in the claim. And they total $10,493.48. And the board, the ad hoc reviewed the billings, the invoices and stuff. So we've got everything in order and in straight. So the total charges you're sending on your claim you're sending to the state is $12,563.69.
Okay. So, do we need to make a motion on this, Director Schoenberg, to approve the claim?
Yes.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion that we,
Can I just make notate something before we do that? So the claims were coming into, so we did receive a check now for both claim.
I think we should finish claim 5, do the approval, and then we have to discuss a whole slew of other things of what I think you're about ready to discuss, Director
No,
Shaw.
I'm not ready to discuss that. I just wanted to discuss where the payments were coming from. I can do that in the financials. It's fine.
Well, I think we have more, once we approve this claim, there's more, because we have to discuss the TAs here. And
You can't. It's
it
because.
says, it does, it says other claims and payouts.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I'd like to move that we, the ad hoc went over this at length, just for the other, board members. We were pretty meticulous on this, so I'd like to move that we approve, all the items under claim number 5.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Director Kelly has seconded it. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, 401 absent. Okay, so,
I will need Jerry to sign the phone form, and I will clean up the cover letter and get that to Johnny to sign by email tonight.
okay,
But you can print out, I will need, well, no. Jerry, are you the president or Brahma?
I am.
Jerry is the president, yes.
Okay.
He needs to sign it.
Yeah, and that form, you should be able to print it out. Yeah, it's at the front page, the form on the front page.
Okay,
Johnny on.
I am.
I'm available tomorrow, anytime if you want to have, oh, shoot, you're not gonna be in tomorrow.
No,
Well,
I have a meeting with Dee and Alan first thing tomorrow morning, but I'm hoping that the rest of the day I don't have to do anything.
okay, well, if you need that signed in the morning, give me a holler.
All right, thanks.
Thank
Okay,
you.
and then I can also get Johnny the cleaned up cover page, so it's not double spaced, it's all single spaced.
Do you need that before Monday, Dave?
If I get it, I might get it out tomorrow, but I don't know. So if I get it Monday, that's cool.
And Dave, you're also gonna replace the,
Cool, thanks.
you're also gonna replace the, marked up, invoice,
Right,
correct?
yes.
okay. All right, so to begin a discussion, so just so that our bookkeeper knows and that everybody's aware, we went through all these invoices with D. Jasper and Associates. Some of them had, when we received them, had multiple charges that were that were being paid by technical assistance funds from Self-Help Enterprises. Others go under the state contract, which is the claim that we just did. And then some of them were directly Fraser Park Public Utility District's bills. So what we did is we did a system. We didn't change any of the invoice numbers. What we did is put an A on the invoice number and had them separated out onto different invoices. And the A invoices are paid by technical assistance funds, SHIA, for Self-Help Enterprises. The B invoices are the ones that we submit for claims. And then the C invoices that we did are for Fraser Park public utility district. And so going forward, we shouldn't have this problem. The invoices should all be separate according to who's paying for what. So hopefully we have that all ironed out and we won't have that confusion. But we did that so that it was easier to track. Now, what we need to discuss is on our previous meeting, we approved paying D. Jasper and Associates for technical assistance funds that have not been approved yet. Where do we stand on the technical assistance funds being approved, Dave?
We have a meeting scheduled with the state to review that work plan as well as several others.
Okay,
So, and it's a priority. It's a priority because it's in, you're in process. Consultants are doing work. They need to get paid. And, you know, certainly express that my frustration that the district is stepping in to cover those charges, which they wouldn't have had if we had the work plan approved earlier.
so,
Yeah.
so first of all, the first one I just want to discuss. So the plan is to pay D. Jasper and Associates by the to have the checks ready by the next board meeting on the 8th of October. Okay.
And can I add something to that? Why?
Sure.
So what happened is that as these claims were coming in, we had not yet gotten checks that we could cut, and for whatever reason, there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, and so the claim checks were not going into the planning account. They were just going into our operating our revenue fund. And so what's going to happen is from here on in, the claims will be put into the planning, and then all checks will be cut out of the planning. Because we didn't order checks, we're waiting for those checks to come in. I believe that Linda has now ordered them. And so those will be coming in, and then we'll be able to cut those checks. So that's why it's going to take us just a little bit longer. We
Yeah.
have gone through all of the invoices, but we want to be able to cut the checks and have the board look at the checks and the invoices before we submit that money to D. Jasper and Associates.
So just to let you know, I asked Linda today to go ahead and she ordered 500 checks because I think.
Wait, no. Why 500? Too much. Why are you? Was it cheaper for 500 than for?
Yeah,
less?
it's $170 for 250 checks. It's $230 for 500 checks.
Okay,
And
well,
this-
there's no way we're ever going to go through 500 checks from that account. So,
Can we change that, Linda?
I don't know. I will, we can try, but it's all done online, so I don't know.
I mean, we
And
should
can
be
I-
able to. They haven't.
can I ask, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can I ask why the treasurer's not doing that? Because I had already talked to them about it, and I had said not to order that many checks.
I don't know. I was asked the question and she recommended, because with the project was going to be long, I agreed that it should be. So I should not have done that, and I apologize.
I just don't see that we're gonna go through 500 checks for that project. I mean, 250 maybe. I don't even think we'll go through
Okay.
250.
Well, Linda, can you see in the morning if you can change that? I mean, obviously they should be able to change that. We should be able to call, if we need to call them, they should be able to change it, because I'm sure that they haven't done anything immediately. I mean,
Let's think it through quickly. Dee, do you see any possibility that we would have?
Yeah, I will call them. I will
can
call them in the morning.
I
They're
ask
usually
please-
pretty quick,
Hold
so I
on.
don't know if we
Can
got
I
it in
ask-
hold on,
time.
Linda. Hold on, Linda.
Dee, can I ask you please, do you see any reason why we might need more than 250 checks or Dave for this planning account. Because it's going to change over. So when we go to the construction, it's a different account.
Yeah, I'm thinking 250 is going to be plenty.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. So if you could check
Okay,
in the
I will
morning.
contact them. I'll contact them tomorrow. Hopefully they didn't do it. They're usually pretty quick, so I'll contact them first thing in the morning.
Okay. Now, so what I'm gonna, so to further on this, we're gonna hold until we get the checks, Linda. Oh, now, this is the other thing, Director Schoenberg. Are we going to, when we pay the TA funds that will be reimbursed, are we gonna put the money, are we gonna pay from the,
Yes, yes. So can I ask that we have a single point of accountability and that those decisions be brought to the board, but that the treasurer handle those
yes,
types of
Lisa, that's
decisions?
fine.
Okay. So yes, so what I'm advising, although the board can tell me otherwise if they don't think that that's a good idea, is I'm advising that we take money in a bulk amount of the exact amount. So for like the TA funds, that we add them all together. I transfer a chunk of money from the revenue operating fund into the planning so that we can track everything we pay out of planning. And then we cut the individual checks once we have the checks. So we're waiting for those for the week or whatever. And that we cut individual checks for each of those invoices. And that way, all of that can be easily tracked. When the money comes back in, it's obviously going to go back into the operating revenue. But I'd like to be able to track that too. So I just want to make sure that we have one point of accountability. Otherwise, it gets really interesting.
Right. So that's fine, and I think that's good. So when I say we've already approved, so I sent out an email to everybody showing on the previous invoices that we corrected for D. Jasper and Associates. Self-Help Enterprises has paid $3,218, which was what was left on their contract. So the shortfall on the following invoices was invoice dated 4/30, invoice number 2004034A in the amount of $3,837.22. Invoice dated 5/31, number 2005037A in the amount of $1,881. Invoice dated 5/31, 20, number 20-05011A for $198, and invoice dated July 31st, 20, invoice number 20-07055A in the amount of $414, which comes to a grand total of $6,330.22. Now we already voted on this to pay this amount on the previous board meeting. It was not to exceed $11,000. So that that needs to be paid out of the account. So Lisa, you would transfer that. Now, the question is, do we need to, I assume we need to go ahead and approve, because we have 3 additional invoices for July and August. And I can give you those invoice numbers. I sent a separate email out. So it's invoice dated 7/31, invoice number 20-07052A in the amount of $540.40. Invoice dated 8/31/20, invoice number 20-08057A in the amount of $792, and invoice dated 8/31/20, invoice number 20-08061A in the amount of $2,643, which comes to, hold on a second, comes to a grand total of $3,975.40.
I do
So
not believe that I got those invoices.
you did get those
I
invoices.
did not. I'm looking at my email right now. I do not see them.
I didn't give you
printed out-
invoices. I sent you emails. Those were all the invoices that we corrected.
I'm looking at my email right now, and I do not see the email. I see the other one, which I printed out, which I have with all those numbers are correct for the 6,330.22. I do
Okay,
not
Director
see,
Schoenberg, I can provide you, I can have Tiffany provide you copies. Those all came from Kelly. We all received them from D. Jasper and Associates, the updated.
yeah, I know that, but you're saying you sent out another invoice. Did you send?
No, I didn't send out another invoice. I sent out an email detailing this. Excuse me.
That's what I'm trying to say. You sent out an email detailing this, but I do not have that email. I only have the email that you sent out with the 6,330.22. Can you check to see that I actually got that email? Because it is not in my,
Well, I've printed it. I have it in front of me, and it's to lisas.fppud@gmail.com.
what was the date that was sent?
That was September 23rd. That was yesterday.
Huh. Okay.
I
must
sent
have-
out like 4 different emails detailing all the invoices and separating them according to TA funds, D. Jasper and Associates, and claim 4 and claim 5.
Right, I got everything except for this one.
Okay,
What's the amount? Oh, actually, I just found it in a thread. It's for 3,975.40.
yes.
Okay, I do have that. I'm sorry.
Yes. So we need to approve, vote on that amount to pay those funds from Fraser Park. I'd entertain a motion that we pay those funds to D. Jasper and Associates to be reimbursed by Self-Help Enterprise when they receive their technical assistance funds.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, can you?
I don't.
I,
Can you
I
hold
mo-
on a second? Hold on 1 minute.
Sure.
I don't
Okay.
think we need to make that motion because the previous motion covered all of the invoices to D. Jasper from covering Self-Help Enterprises, as far as I know. I don't know if Tiffany can read it back to us, but I believe the motion that went up to 11,000 already covered this. And it's
Okay.
still under 11,000, so I don't know if we need an additional motion.
Okay.
Okay, I'll retract that motion. Thank you.
Okay, then, so the only thing I would say is that we would need Director Schoenberg to transfer the total of 6,330.22 and 3975.40 into the Lake of the Woods payment plan. Tiffany has all the invoices with my emails that she can give to Linda, at which time she will cut a check for the October 8th meeting. And hopefully we should have the checks by then.
Okay, and Linda, I would like you to just verify that with me before you cut that. And also it's the,
Okay.
you know that it's going into the planning fund. There isn't a Lake of the Woods.
Right.
I meant the
Right.
planning account. I stand corrected. Okay, so I think that's it. And that way we can get D. Jasper Associates paid, and then we'll get reimbursed by Shia. I'm crossing our fingers that we get that approval quickly.
So, one question on this. So your two, uh, the two emails that you sent that detail this out cross over the claim period. So one of them includes July. So I think it would be best if I just add the 6,330.22 and the 3975.40 and do it as one bulk transfer, because it crosses the last invoice on the first accounting you have crosses over into the July claim period. So I think if it's okay with you folks, I'm going to just cut one check for, I'm going to add those two totals, and that will be the
Yes,
amount I transfer, and then it'll be broken up by the specific checks themselves.
right. Linda will put all the invoices on there. And just a note to you, Linda, on and you'll get both of these, but invoice number 200434.
What's the amount on that one?
Okay, so that the total amount of that invoice, hold on just a second. 20, let me, so the total amount on that invoice was 4,653. Okay,
Okay,
but just to let you know, so when you see my email, Self-Help Enterprises has already paid $815.78 on that invoice. So it's actually, it's an A invoice. So the balance remaining on that particular invoice that we have to pay is 3,837.22.
okay,
And
so
But
that
you'll,
note will be on there.
but you'll see it
Sure.
detailed, you'll see it detailed on my email. So, and I gave that to
Okay,
Tiffany. So it said, basically, this is what I put. The following invoices have been or will be paid by Self-Help Enterprises from previous TA funds. And it shows 1,089, 1322, and $815.78, which totaled $3,218. And so the balance of that is what we are paying. And so then it details the rest of the invoices. So that $815 only partially paid that one invoice. So we're going to pay that, of which we'll get reimbursed. So just so it's clear. If you have any questions, you can give me a call. I have, and
okay,
all the invoices are attached to those emails. I left them with Tiffany.
I would still like a single point of accountability, Director Nyman.
Yes, that if you would get with Director Schoenberg with that, just I did
will do.
Could I just make a comment?
yes,
Chairman?
Dee.
I truly appreciate the effort that you folks have gone to straighten all of this out, and Dave as well. And, I'm humbled by the fact that, we really got these things mixed up. And of course, Kelly and I have talked about it. And I think with the plan that we have in place now, there shouldn't be any more mix-ups. But I do want to thank you. And one commitment that I'll make is that, Dave, if you don't get the money for reimbursing the district, we will pay back that amount to the district. I don't want the district to have to front any of that money if they're not reimbursed.
I think we'll get the, thanks Dee, but I think we will get the money. It's just a matter of time, and I'm frustrated the state took so long.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And I just wanted to note, Director Nyman did a whole lot of hard work on putting together all of these amounts. So I just wanted to thank him on record for all of that, because he put all these emails. It was quite a few hours that he spent
Yeah, thank
detailing.
you, Brahma.
You're welcome. It was no problem. Okay. Moving on to, I think that's it on that. Moving on to number 5, discussion vote update on well number 5 emergency replacement project. Okay,
Grant,
Quick question, did we do a time where we started discussing the Lake of the Woods consolidation, and we need to note?
well, I think we did it from the beginning. I mean, we went right into it.
So
We're going on to the emergencies at 6:57.
thank you.
Okay. So update on state grant application. So, basically, did you want to talk on that a little bit, Oscar? And then, I guess we have to set a date or a time, Director Schoenberg, when we call.
Well, the first thing that we need to do, it is Vince Fong that we need to, for the assembly, that we need to speak to. So you and I need to meet and place a call to Vince Fong's office to either talk to whoever he has as a local representative, or to try to get a meeting with him ourselves, just to update him. We did not get a correct number for the state water resource board, so that's so we don't have that, other than we have Joe Karkowski, which we're gonna meet with. So basically, we're still in the process of kind of coming together, and Oscar is working with us on trying to update for the state kind of what's going on, and what we were told by Lawrence was to include the well 5 emergency replacement project as part of our meter replacement project. And so that is sort of in the works. So we're making some phone calls before we do that. And then we're going to try to approach whoever we can. We're trying to come at multiple different ways, and also include do whatever we need to do to amend the meter replacement project to include well 5, actually well 7, but the well to replace well 5.
So did we want to make a time on, I'm not available tomorrow, but maybe Monday? Are you available Monday? Director Schoenberg?
Not great. Tuesday is a much better day. I have a lot of appointments on Monday.
Could we do like Tuesday at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll put that in my calendar, and we'll call Vince Fong's office and see what we can arrange. And is there any other comments on this? I mean, basically what we're going to try and do is get our representative involved to see if we can get them to put pressure to maybe help get some funds. We can present, we can show Vince Fong and them what our financial situation is, and we'll go from there.
So right, so just for the rest of the board, we're kind of moving forward on 3 fronts. So the first front would be to talk to our assembly person and for this area, and also to talk to the state water resource board, a little bit more, whatever name we get from that, besides and then to also talk to Joe Karkowski, who is over Lawrence, and Lawrence is actually, he's a supervisor of Lawrence, and then Lawrence has actually recommended that we, in addition, that we do an addendum or add to the meter replacement project, the well.
Did you have anything to add, Oscar?
No, I think you guys said it all pretty well.
Okay. So B, discussion amend PER, basically at this point, are we gonna go forward with, are we gonna vote on this to amend the PER or?
No, I mean, I don't think we should. I think we can use the PER was needed, or the PER that we specifically have right now without us looking at it again was what we presented to the USDA. I think we need to talk to the state before we make any other changes.
Changes, yeah. Okay,
Really just to help us, with the state, just to have the details written out, and then he already has a design for that as well, a draft.
right.
You know.
Okay, so on to number C, vote and claim and payouts. We don't have anything, I don't think we don't have anything, to vote on that right now that I'm aware of.
We did have, and I just want to track this, we have had a couple of payments that we've needed to make for adjusting the PER. And I need to make sure that we track that as part of this project and not mix it up with other projects. So probably I need to just, with Tiffany and Linda, make sure that we're just tracking all of that, because there is a payment that we made already for the PER.
Okay. All right. Did you have any comments, Director Garcia?
Nope, I was just commenting, good job, thank you.
Oh, okay. On to discussion on the number 6, update on meter replacement project. That's Oscar.
Yeah, so going back a little bit, before from the last meeting, found out that Lawrence is the one that's going to be overseeing and looking at the application. Initially, he had asked for some documents, which the majority of them have already been uploaded. He asked for the TMF assessment, a PER memo with referencing to the drawings of the meters, which all that has been uploaded. He did ask for financial audited statements from June 18 to 19. Those have been uploaded. Also financial statements from June 19 to 20. And I believe at the meeting with the conference call with the state, it was indicated that those haven't been, that they've been submitted to get audited.
Yes.
So I think he had just asked if he could get a draft and just indicate that they're being worked on for the time being. And also, the other thing that was needed-
excuse me, not to interrupt you, but so do we need to have Linda give you a copy of the financials for that fiscal year?
Yes.
Did you hear that, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, so he needs to get a copy of fiscal year 1920. And then you'll just tell them that it's in progress, correct, Oscar?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure everyone's clear. Okay,
Yeah. Also, the environmental, the notice.
Fiscal year 1920 is done.
well, yes, so, well, but the audit isn't done. Correct, Linda?
Yeah, they're not taking it till October, remember?
We haven't done the audit.
The
So-
June 30th, 2020 audit is done.
We're still in 2020.
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, June 30th, 2020. I'll be sending that to the auditors this next week.
Okay, so Oscar needs the financials from that without the audit.
So it's gonna take, it takes them, He said they're not gonna be able to start it till October. Takes them a couple of months to finish it. so-
Right, but Lawrence wanted preliminary reports of our
Okay, there's no, I
financials.
can do that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
I
you.
can give them that. I can send him those. I do not have his email address to send it to him though.
You would send it to Oscar and he would upload it to the FAST application.
Hello?
Yeah, send it to Oscar. You could get Oscar's email from Tiffany. Linda.
Yeah, girl.
I know what I'm saying is I do not have his email address.
I know. I
That
said
I'm
you
aware
can,
of.
I said you can get it from Tiffany.
Okay, I didn't hear it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, continue, Oscar. Sorry.
So the other thing that was also uploaded already was the notice of exemption. And the only, I think I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, but the only thing that also that what was needed is the contract, the engineering contract for services.
Before you jump to that, Oscar, I just have we need to also ask Lawrence, because we had that question about what happens when we add the, if we add the well, what happens, we have like two of everything. We have two NOEs, we have two, PERs, we have, kind of two of everything, and if that's something that we're even going to be able to do, or if they have to be somehow combined.
Okay. Well, I can definitely ask that to Lawrence to see what would be the most appropriate way to go about that in the case that you do decide to include the well 5 into the meter application.
Okay.
And then I think on B, we were supposed to ask if D had that or not, because I don't think.
Are you done? We'll get to B in a second. Oscar, are you done on everything else that we needed?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we can go on to B, discussion vote on contract with D Jasper and Associates. So D, did we, I don't think we did a contract with you for the water replacement.
The
Meter.
the engineering report was done under a contract with Self-Help. And so that wasn't done directly through the district at the time. I think that's a year or so ago, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Right,
So-
but I believe we need a contract between you and the district.
What I think they're asking for, D, is during construction. A
Oh.
contract for services during construction.
Okay.
For final planning, final plans, cleaning up the final plans, specs for 100%, and then construction.
Okay, we'll put that together. We certainly have not prepared one, but we'll put one together.
And D, that does exist for the well 5, correct?
Do we want to include well 5 with that?
Well, I'm just asking if you had made a contract in regard to well 5 with us.
Yeah, when we get into construction, we're going to need that as well. And the final, bidding and all of that.
So Oscar, same thing. I mean, that's another, so it's all three of those to ask about, because there's separate NOEs, separate PERs, and separate contracts at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, the contracts don't exist yet, but if it needs to be one contract that includes both, we need to know that.
So yeah, that's I'll need to know that, Oscar, when, whether I make one contract or two for that work.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll include everybody in the email thread when I email Lawrence.
Okay, okay. Alrighty, on to number 7, discussion vote update on pipeline replacement project. A, discussion vote on potholing and mapping. Where do, I guess, where do we stand on the trails that we've done, Johnny?
Well, we managed to get some potholing done. We still have to do more early next week. We found out what the PSI was in a 6-inch PVC on Bonita Trail. It was 100 PSI, and I need to get with D, but by Monday or Tuesday, I'll have Oregon opened up as well and a couple other trails, hopefully by the end of the week. So at that point, I could get with D on the information that I have, and then we'll see what's going on.
Okay. Any other comments from any directors?
Comment.
Go ahead, Dave.
You folks had submitted a technical assistance request to the state and they never conferred it. I know the cost for the work was a lot more than what we could handle. So it's sort of on hold, but I do have it on the schedule to be discussed at the state as a possible, maybe we can get funding from safer funds, but I don't know. But I'd like to just check in with them on that to see if, would you still be interested in see if we can get some technical assistance funds that could pay
Sure.
for Dee's work
Yes.
on, locate the pipeline stuff?
Yes,
Right.
definitely, definitely.
Right now,
Okay.
we're paying that all out of pocket.
Right. Yeah. And I know Dee had it was a pretty good estimate you guys had gotten for that work. So, okay. That'll be under discussion on Monday.
Yeah, go get us the money, Dave. We need it.
Yeah.
You're my money guy, Dave.
I don't know. I was born on Friday the 13th, so.
Hey, that's always been a good lucky number for me, so it should work out.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
Okay, okay, now, on to number 8. Review and approve state update meeting minutes, 9/17.
I have a comment on this. Actually, it comes from Dave, but there's on page 2, where it says the second paragraph down, where it says the state noted that 2 NOEs had already been filed for drilling test wells. Dave was asking that we change that, and in fact, in another set of minutes, we'll need to change it as well. But change that to 2 NOEs had already been filed for the test well project, but it wasn't for specifically for the test well drilling sites themselves. So I don't know, if because that correction was made during that meeting, Dave brought that up, so I don't know, how we can include that, Tiffany, but if we can amend that to say, basically at the point where Lawrence had noted that the 2 NOEs had already been filed, Dave advised him that yes, they were filed for the overall project, but they were not filed for the specific test well sites.
I made that change when Dave sent the email.
Okay,
Oh, okay, because it's not on the one that I have in my packet. Okay.
right. So I would entertain a motion that we approve these minutes.
And then there was something else I had. Hold on a second. Sorry, I don't. Okay, so I think the other 2 things are not critical. I just but she has it underneath. I had to remove the test well title reports, but then it says it right underneath that it'll be covered, that they'll be removed, so that doesn't need to be fixed. So I think it's fine. So, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes for September 17th, 2020 for the state update meeting. And with the amendment mentioned, which seems to have already been made, and with, sorry. With our normal wording that don't have in front of me. Sorry, I'm looking for that wording that we usually put and I'm missing it. Okay, okay, no, it's not on this one, that's why. Sorry, folks. That we approve those minutes, as I previously said, with the amendment mentioned, which already seems to be done, and the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Director Garcia seconded. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent. Director Kelling.
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye. Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried 4-0, absent. Okay, on to number 9. Discussion vote approve price plan for loaning the portable generator to Christian Mutual. Where do we stand on that? I know
Well,
that
I've been looking at some pricing, and I think we can make it pretty simple where we just rent it out for a flat rate of say $300 a day plus wages for the employee that takes it down there. And you know, we'd have to calculate what the wages actually were depending on the time of day and, you know, whether it was overtime or not.
Johnny, I thought we were gonna try to look into the possibility of replacing that generator, which is really larger than what we need, seeing if there was some way to make a deal with a company for a smaller and more applicable generator, both for our needs and for any loan out needs that doesn't need to have a load bank. And
I've reached out to a couple of rental companies about the possibility of maybe working some type of a trade for 2 generators that are properly sized, but I've yet to find anybody that's said that they were interested in that.
Yeah.
I reached just today when I picked up the generator, our generator that got worked on, and they didn't seem interested. They're interested in selling us the generators, but they're not interested in doing anything with the trade. The only thing you could really look at would be auctioning off the generator, the big generator, and then just flat purchasing new ones. So now I'm trying to get somebody to spec out the correct size that we're going to need, so we don't wind up with another situation like Quad left us in.
So we're no closer to having a plan for loaning the generator at this time.
No, well, I mean, I think we could say that if they got in dire straits and we still had power, that we could run our generator down there for $300 a day plus wages, and they replace the fuel, of course. And I don't see why that would be a problem while we're trying to figure something out.
Okay.
But that's entirely up to the board.
Seems reasonable.
Pam has worked the deal for currently, they got a generator down there currently, so they're not in a pressing need. But it would be nice to have something so we're at least a backup that's a lot closer to them, where
Right.
we could just run our generator down, because there are times when I would just run it down myself.
Do you know what they're paying?
Yeah, I sent me the quote over where it was $317 a day, and then you got to pay for delivery and pickup. So since we have to loan an operator out, I figured we could waive the delivery and pickup and just charge for the wages
Yeah.
plus the 300 a day.
Right, plus fuel.
Yep.
Johnny, I think we would need to somehow include the portable load bank, though, that we would have to, because if we have to rent that, if we don't actually purchase it, that somehow has to be tied into that as well.
Well, the thing with that was I just had it serviced. I was hoping to have an invoice today when I picked up the generator. They didn't have one ready and promised to email it, and they didn't. And they didn't expressly hook it up to a load bank. But what they did was when they were, doing the tune up and checking out the breaker and stuff, they put it under load on a load bank for 2 hours. So once I get the invoice for what it costs us for the service, we can get a better idea, because if we have to have it serviced, every 6 months or whatever, and they put it under the load bank anyway, which is what the mechanic said. He said, well, you could pay separate for that, but we kind of do that anyway when we do servicing. So, it would really depend upon how much they had to borrow or how much they had to rent the generator on whether or not it would need the load bank. And in the meantime, we may have, smaller generators.
And what about the security and the insurance for the
Well, see,
generator?
the thing is that that's the issue. She would have to pay for an operator to go down there and sit there, because it takes roughly 4 hours, she figured, to fill her tank. So we'd have to go down there and sit for 4 hours, and the operator would stay with it, getting paid his hourly wage and whatever that may be. And that would ensure that the generator wasn't stolen and that it was covered by our insurance.
And so then that operator would have to bring the generator back when it was done? Because if
Yeah,
you're
absolutely. After the 4 hours. Now, I only checked into insurance regarding loaning out equipment for Cal Warren for other water agencies under Cal Warren, but I don't see why it would apply different if we're helping out a neighboring water system. And JPIA said as long as our equipment was operated by our personnel, it would be covered by insurance.
Okay, I think it's worth a call to JPIA just to clarify, so that there isn't any confusion.
I suppose we can, but it's so time consuming trying to get all this stuff done that they did tell us specific to loaning out equipment to Cal Warren. So what's the difference between Cal Warren and another member of Cal Warren?
Well, insurance companies are very funny and specific on certain things sometimes, and if something happens and then we're not covered, then we're out whatever that cost of that generator. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'll send an email to him and ask him what the procedure is.
Okay, appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, so I think we need to, so where do we stand at this point? We need to wait till we get that information to be able to incorporate that cost in there. So I think you need to carry this over until the next regular meeting.
Well, there won't be a cost associated with the insurance, because either it's
No,
just
I'm talking about the load bank or the maintenance.
I'd like to move that we carry both 9 and 10 over to our next regular meeting on the, whatever that was, the 8th.
I'll second that.
Okay, Director Garcia seconded that. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gibson is absent. Director Kelling. I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Director Nyman is an aye. Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, 401 absent. Motion carried. All right, on to number 11. discussion vote on application water surface APN 255-520-02.
Let's make sure the LaFocas are back on.
Yes, we are. Hi there.
Hi.
Okay,
Simon, I think we already basically discussed in a vote and voted on amending the sphere of influence. That's, we're moving forward with that per the other item, whatever that was, earlier item. The
yes.
item, 4C.
So 4C is moving forward with an MSR?
No, it says discussion vote on amending the sphere of influence.
Right, that's A. We've already done that.
That's, well, that's what I was just saying.
Okay, B, discussion vote on policy and procedure for annexation. What does that entail? I'm not sure what that entails.
That would be after we pay for the sphere of influence, so we can't do the annexation until we do the sphere of influence. So at that time, we would be able to annex just that one property.
Okay. So on to C, vote on moving forward with MSR.
I think we need the MSR for the sphere of I'm not, Dave and Dee, do we need that for the sphere of influence or do we need that for the annexation or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, you need an MSR, and the current one was paid for with the TA fund, well, funds, state funds. So, but
So
the
we could-
MSR has to go with the application, with
Which is
with the annexation.
Which is the MSR we already did with Lake of the Woods planning, correct?
Yeah, no, we can't use that because if we use that, then that includes the entire sphere of influence. So we actually have to pay for D to amend that to cover, or we have to amend that to cover only the boundary sphere of influence that we talked about, which doesn't cover the whole project. The MSR, and we haven't completed an MSR either. We were waiting to complete that MSR until we had more information. So we have a partial MSR, but we don't have it's not a completed, we have like a draft MSR.
Right, and that MSR is by Stanley something and Associates out of, so, I mean, did you, yeah, Hoffman, yeah. So
we
you
would
could,
need to approach them to revise an MSR to only deal with the boundaries that we currently are trying to enlarge minus the planning.
okay,
So that would include the LDS Church, the Wainwright French property, La Foca property, and the Lichter property, if indeed they do want to annex or.
And say it if we're able to do it, but I don't know if that's going to turn into a whole thing like what we already went.
Yeah,
And so what is the cost on this?
I don't know. I'll have to talk to Stanley Hoffman. It sounds like, that MSR is probably 2 years old.
at least.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be, updated with current information.
I mean, part of it applies to the planning project still, so I don't know how we may need to approach the state on how that works because whatever we do on that MSR is still going to apply to the larger project, so I don't know if that's something that we can talk to them about as well. It's just that we've cut it by half, but really the LDS Church is part of the larger project.
Right.
They're, they would be they be an island, Dave?
No, they wouldn't. They would be right next to the road on the way up. They're a little triangular piece of property and they're across from that grocery store, gas station, the restaurant, at the beginning of Lake of Woods. They're across the street from there.
Okay, so when we extend to French Wainwright, we'll be next to them, or we'll be?
No, you won't be. There's a whole string of homes west of Wainwright, and then there's some space. There's some significant space, and then there's the storage shed, and then you hit the LDS church, the storage area, then the LDS church. So it's important to include them as part of the project because they're going to be served, but I don't know how you could serve them with a water line.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, you're adding them to the sphere of influence, but we're not going, if the Lake of the Woods project doesn't go through, we're not going to be servicing them.
Right. The annexation wouldn't go through.
I mean, right now, I think I'm a little confused because we're doing another map.
Shouldn't it be two separate spheres of influence? One currently just the Wainwright property and the La Foca property, and then include the LDS church in the planning project and include that in that map? Because there's no reason to go out to the LDS church, which is a considerable distance past the Wainwright property, for just our own personal sphere.
Right.
So we would need to go back and amend the, so that motion I made would need to be amended.
Okay.
And I don't remember where that, let's see, that was on C, 4C.
4C.
So,
because it makes sense to include a new sphere for Fraser Park, that stuff that's adjoining to our district right now, but we don't need to go any farther out except for in the planning project.
well, the only thing that would fall off of what I already motioned would be the LDS church.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
I'd like to, since it says discussion vote again here on the sphere of influence, I'd like to go back to 11A.
Okay.
Is everyone okay with that, or do I need to?
No, I think we're fine. We're still on the whole
So
subject.
on 11A, which actually is in conjunction, so this ties to Tiffany for C as well. But I'm going to, based on new information, I'm going to make a new motion. So I'm going to change the. I'm going to. Who was the seconder on that motion?
I think I was.
Director Garcia was.
So are you okay, Director Garcia, with amending that motion to remove the LDS church and wait to add them in the larger project map? But
Yeah,
to
that's
get
fine.
everything else that we talked about?
I agree. Yes.
Okay. So with that friendly amendment, roll call of directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, and Director Schoenberg's.
Aye.
Okay, 401 absent, motion carried. Okay, so do we, go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
Well, we need Dee to now to talk to Stanley Hoffman and see, because we're going to need two MSRs. I mean, we need the smaller MSR that deals with just the La Foca property, and then a larger MSR that deals, I think, with everything.
I think if I might interject for a second, 11D probably needs to be discussed first, because if we're not willing to do something like that, the La Focas may decide not to even purchase the property because their escrow ends, I believe, on the 8th.
Well, that's actually 11D. So we need to, and then
That's what I said, 11D. Without
Well,
11D, everything preceding that doesn't really matter, and we probably wouldn't amend the sphere of influence if the focus were not going to do their project.
Well, I think we still should amend the sphere of influence to that property. It just means that that property would fall through and someone else would purchase it. But I mean, if we're already moving forward, it makes sense to go ahead and, because there's three other properties that need, and we probably want to move forward with the Wainwright French property too.
Oh, I agree with that one. Yeah, and I'll try to get out tomorrow and talk to whoever owns the rest of the Lichter property.
And if you can talk again to the SEA people, or if you need us to do it as a board, but to see if they would be willing to be, I think it's going to benefit whoever's purchasing that property to be in the sphere of influence, because it would allow them to annex the district to get water, just like they also were interested in.
Well, I think that with that, it's such a it's so problematic with Nathan to communicate anything like that, that maybe we could do that in a different way. Maybe we could have maybe we could have a meeting, a phone call or something where there's more of us together, because you all remember what we went through just trying to get the permission to go on to drill the test well.
Right, so maybe we can just do a meeting of that, and if we need to drop that off, we'll amend the motion again. So but I think it's worth trying to move forward on those 4 properties.
I thought that we could actually include people in a sphere of influence, whether they volunteered to join or not. I thought that you just couldn't annex them without.
I don't believe so. I think that they can come back and
Okay.
am I correct about that?
My understanding from Bud Rice at LAFCO is that you don't need their permission to expand the sphere of influence, but you obviously would for an annexation. But the sphere of influence carries no commitment on behalf of those properties that are included in it to be a part of the district.
Yeah, at one point somebody explained that you didn't even have, I thought they said you could just do literally like a circle area. I mean, you don't have to be really specific. You can just enlarge your sphere of influence, even if you're not providing them water.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the MSR impacts that, Johnny. I think we need to talk to Bud Rice about that, but I do think, but anyway, I think we can expand our sphere of influence, and it does not include with it an obligation on behalf of the property owners. But we can talk to Bud Rice and verify that. And then the second thing.
Be the ad hoc, maybe we can do a meeting between the ad hoc, you, Johnny, and if we need to bring Stan Hoffman on that.
Okay.
Talk to Bud first and then talk to Stan.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, on to D, discussion vote on tentative letter for supplying water.
I'm sorry, but wait, I cut off D. He was still saying something.
He said,
No,
sounds good.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good, Lisa. I think that's what we should do.
Okay, on to D, discussion vote on tentative letter for supplying water. I mean, here's the rub, or this is the way I see it. I don't know. I was looking at the letters that we received from the LaFocas. They're saying, according to Kern County, that they use 50 gallons per day, which amounts to about 1,500 gallons of water per RV. So if you have 18 RVs at a total max, you're talking about 27,000 gallons of water a month extra. So I think the issue comes back to they're going to be going, their escrow would close on the 8th of October. If we can't give them a letter for supplying water, I mean, we're kind of in a conundrum right now.
Wait, we already voted to talk to the attorney about doing a letter with the contingencies in it. What happened to that?
Because what I told you at the time was the Mr. and Mrs. LaFoca also wanted to include an extra clause in that. So before I spent money on the attorney, I wanted them to talk to you guys tonight and submit it all to Alan Dowd instead of piecemeal at the time. So we need to find out, we need to let the Mr. and Mrs. LaFoca speak and talk about this. And then you guys decide if you're even willing to proceed, if we could do it with Alan's blessing.
Okay. Would you like to talk, Sam?
I'd love to. Thank you. So in the last meeting, there's 2 references by the board that if it was for a single family residence, they would consider giving us our will serve letter. And on that basis, for a single family residence, if we just look at the amount of water, what would be the difference whether you're giving us the amount of water for a single family residence or that exact same amount of water in gallons for an RV park, which can serve more families or couples or individuals than just one home?
Well, see, and like the only thing I'll say about that is that, again, I think that the way your engineer looked at it is erroneous, because whether it's you and your wife living in a single family home or it's senior couples living in an RV, you're both still taking the same amount of showers. You're both taking the same amount of, you're washing the same amount of laundry. You're doing the same amount of everything. So if you times that by 9, which is your plan for the first year doing 9 RV parks, it's not the same as a single family home. It's the same as 9 single family homes, maybe with a slight reduction, but there's still that much being used.
And if you just look at toilets alone, an RV toilet's only using 2 quarts per flush, or even on your conservation report that you have posted online, you're talking about single family home toilets, if they're the newer ones, at 1.6 gallons and some even up to 3.5 gallons. And then we're just talking about on a flush of a toilet, 1 flush.
Yeah.
A huge difference. And then if you go into the showers, the RVs are built to be such low water flow that you can't compare it to that of a home in any way. I mean, it's posted by the California State Plumbing Code, the U.S. Forest Service handbook, and a number of other sites that say RVs only use 50 gallons per day. And it's all over that a single family home uses anywhere from 350 to 930 gallons per day. So somewhere in there's got to be a compromise. There's got to be a solution. There's got to be something that we can all work out together and say, okay, this is what we can do. Since in the last meeting alone, I was asked regarding, let me get my notes exactly. Director Schoenberg, if we were able to move forward and be able to give a will serve letter for a single residence. And also D said he's a little hesitant on doing anything more than an occasional single residence. So all I'm asking for is exactly that. Enough water that would be equal to a single family residence, and we'll reduce the number of sites we're going to use. We'll reduce our plan and cut it down until April or May of next year, until you have that new well going. But there's got to be some compromise in there. I understand about you want to protect your water from well 5. But there's got to be something in there. There's got to be an area in there where we can meet.
Well, I think part of the problem is everybody on the board has voiced their opinion that they're for this project, and they're for saying yes, when we get the new well in the ground, we will provide water. But you're in a position where you want an assurance before we're prepared to even have the well in the ground. We don't even have the funding yet for the well. And that's where the sticking point is. You want the compromise, and we're willing to compromise by saying, yes, we're for your plan, but we want to also make sure that we have the new well set up.
Okay, and if it was for a single family home, it's my understanding that you'd be more likely to give us water for a single family home.
Well, I think you're mincing words here a little bit. I think the fact that, yes, an RV is better. My dad and my stepmom live in an RV. They're campground hosts. They live in it full time. And yeah, they do use less water, but they also still wash laundry every day. They still flush their toilet. They still take showers. So that's still, and almost everybody's still going to have plants on their porch, and they're going to water their plants, and they're going to do, normal living things. And I think trying to get an assurance for 5 or 9 RV residences before we have the well in place is different than saying, okay, we'll provide water to one house. But again, I'm for that, but I think that what we need to do is ask the attorney and say, look, can we go ahead and say that assuming that the well goes in the ground and we have good water quality, and that you join in the sphere of influence, that we could provide you water. I don't see that would be a hindrance. The board has to decide if they want to provide you that letter, but I think that would be fine. But at the last time I talked to you, you wanted to also include, well, whether we have the well in or not, that we would provide you water by April or May. So that's what the board would have to decide, if we would want to provide a letter stating that.
LaFoca, on your RV, is that an RV that's not hooked up to the electric and water within the RV park? Because I know that an RV, when it's out traveling, can only hold so much water and use that much water. But if it's
No,
hooked
they're going
up,
to be hooked up. It's going to be full hookups.
Yes, it'll be full hookups.
that's what I'm saying. If it's on a full hookup, the RV is capable of using more than 50 gallons a day.
Well, again, see, here's the deal. When we put in a new well 5, Dee could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the anticipation is that we're going to have plenty of water when well 5 goes in the ground, because we know what it had before. We know how deep the aquifer is. We know we're going to have water. It's just the stipulation of not providing a will serve letter prior to getting well 5 drilled and actually put online. It's not whether or not we would have enough water after the fact.
Right. And the first answer, Director Kelling's question, yeah, even though it's hooked up, according to state plumbing code, it's still 50 gallons a day, to answer your question on that. And I'm not making it up. That's just coming out of plumbing code. I'm sure they had many engineers and whatnot come up with these numbers. And that's a number that everyone goes by. So to say it's anything less other than that.
And so that's not, I'm not, but that's 1,500 gallons a month. And that comes out to like 200 cubic feet. I mean, I'm in a single residence and it's just me. I use 100 cubic feet. So I think the average home isn't using more than a couple hundred cubic feet a month, which is about the same as an RV.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see a problem with any of this. It's just a matter of putting the cart before the horse. So if you would feel confident with the fact that I'll send an email to our attorney and say, look, can you draw up an agreement, a intention to provide a will serve letter depending on the well going in the ground and you joining in the sphere of influence, would that make you confident enough to purchase the property?
Well, in the event the well doesn't go in the ground,
Well, I don't see how it cannot. We have a well, we have money that we're gonna provide, and it needs to go in the ground because we need that water for the town of Fraser Park.
right? Okay, with that being said, on the confidence level that well 5 is going to be replaced, no question about it, then where would be the problem in saying we'll supply you water by such and such date?
I think it's the timing. I think we have no idea what's gonna happen with, we're
Right.
trying to get additional funding from the state to help us so we don't have to spend every last dollar that we have on the well. And so I think it's dependent on the timing. And sometimes when we had well 5 temporarily patched, I think that was probably around April, and they were still worried about getting stuck in the mud. So I think that's part of the reticence. But again, I think I'm speaking out of turn. The board has to decide all these things. I just know from talking to individual board members that the idea in general is supported, but it's just a matter of providing an actual will serve prior to getting the well in the ground.
Yeah.
Am I correct in that, Lisa?
Correct. So I think we just need to, but I think that any kind of letter, we wanted to talk to the attorney to put those 2 contingencies on there so that you are confident that we're willing to move forward with you, because my understanding was that you just needed confidence that we were not going to tell you, 6 months from now or a year from now that, we couldn't serve you water.
Right, but I totally appreciate. I know you all of you have put in a lot of time on this, but if you just appreciate the one thing, for whatever reason, you're unable to do anything with well 5 in the spring or in the summer at the very latest, we're wiped out.
I don't see that. I don't see that happening because worst case scenario, we would spend our own money and get a commercial loan from a bank to put in that well, because the district cannot do without that well.
Uh-huh.
And we're just trying to, just like you, we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket and then not be able to do other stuff. So one way or another, we have to get that well in the ground.
Right. Now, and we get that.
And no matter what we do, if we don't have that sphere of influence, we can't move forward. So we're trying to get that ASAP, but it still takes a certain amount of time. And the problem with that sphere of influence is that we can't serve you water without it because you're not an emergency. You don't even exist as an entity. So we can't consider you an emergency. So we have to do the sphere of influence.
Well, quite honestly, we wouldn't even be using the water until, by the time we get our CUP through, we get our permits through, our environmental, and then even talk about building, we probably wouldn't even be using the water to April or May anyhow. So
yeah, I agree. I think that's a very valid point right there, that you wouldn't be ready to move forward any faster than we would because of wintertime.
Exactly. But all we need is a guaranteed that if we put our life savings on the line, that at the end of the road, it's not going to be like, well, the state's holding us up, whatever the case is, and then we're stuck.
Well, you said you could reduce even that 9. Maybe the board, maybe you would consider providing a will serve for a lesser number of RV spaces contingent upon the sphere of influence and the
Okay, I have a question for D. What is the least amount? The sphere of influence has to happen, so there's no way we're giving you a will serve without a contingency for the sphere of influence. However, I'm going to ask D what the least amount of homes you feel that we would be able to serve if we didn't have that well functional yet, but the well was still at the capacity. It was still functioning the way it's functioning now.
There's a couple of things that I'd like to say about this. In direct answer to your question, we probably have the capacity, if things don't happen that reduce that capacity, down to half of what we have now, or even to zero. And that could happen. And so that, you know, I really am hesitant to certainly guarantee anything. But let me just talk a second about what the normal process is for a will-serve letter. For a development like this, what normally happens is a set of plans get submitted to the district. The district can then see what landscaping, what, you know, what is there a, is, you know, what are the plans for this development, whatever that development is. And then those plans go to engineering. We look at the landscaping, if there is some or there's none, or if there's a park manager's residence or whatever. And then we look at those plans and say, all right, with this set of plans, and it's usually developed to a point that in some cases developed to the degree that they could build it. In other cases, it's a preliminary set of plans, but based on a preliminary set of plans prepared by an architect or a developer or whatever that is submitted to the district, then a judgment call can be made, not just a sketch on a set of on the back of an envelope on a piece of paper. So normally that is the process.
They submitted to us a concept layout done by RV Park Consulting. So it's not just on the back of an envelope right now. There is a layout, but it isn't as detailed as you're saying. But there is a layout and area calculations for what the different areas of the park would be and the features.
That would be something that I'd want to look at. The other thing that I wanted to mention was skip my train of thought went away. But that is the normal process for issuing a will-serve letter. Now, if the letter is conditional, which I mentioned before, conditioned on having a new well, for instance, then you know, we have done those. But to guarantee that we're going to have a well in place at a certain time, and Mr. Lofoka, you're going to put your life savings in this thing based on us giving you a guarantee. And certainly I wouldn't think that it would be wise for the district to give anybody a guarantee at this point in time. I think conditionally we could say, yes, when well number 5 is replaced, we can do whatever it is based on the plan that you have. Now, I lived in our own RV for a year while we were remodeling our house. And I know how much water I used because that was our residence at the time. So I used water just like I would if it was our house. And so my wife complained about the power bill. But anyway, that, you know, we do have a little bit of experience there. But I don't want to get into that argument. I think that's maybe a side issue. I think the main issue is we have a well that's crippled, and that well could fail. And so if that well did fail, we would be left with the only well that we have, which would probably not even supply the needs of Frazier Park. So, you know, in order to guarantee you something, I couldn't recommend that to the board to do that. But of course, it's a board decision. But I would say that we could give you some sort of conditional will serve that would be conditioned on well 5 being replaced, and also with an assessment of your actual plans that you plan, so that we can take a good look at it and assess that. The county will certainly have something to say you know, about your development when you're ready to go for permit. But at this point in time, it doesn't appear as though you are. You're just trying to get going. So that's really, I think that's it.
D, if you look at Wednesday, September 23rd, you were sent a board packet. The concept layout is in that board packet.
As I recall, that was just pretty much a line drawing that didn't have a lot of detail on it. I can certainly go back and look at it again, but it didn't seem to me as though it had enough detail that we could tell what kind of landscaping, if any, is there going to be a park manager's residence. And forgive me if it's on there and I've overlooked that. I'll certainly relook at it. But the detail that we normally see is greater than what I remember seeing at the time.
On there, D, it does mention we're not doing any additional landscaping. We're using all native plants, landscape that's already in place. And we're not having a manager's residence. It's just a simple little, this whole thing, all we wanted to do was just a small little RV park to give people, like my aunt who got kicked out of a house up in Fraser Park simply because of Social Security couldn't meet the rising rents. And that's the whole thing. We're not trying to do some big, huge development with pools and management headquarters. And like this RV park consultant people, they wanted us to put in this big welcome center and all this stuff. It's like, no. Just, we told them just scale it down to the most basic of necessities of doing something like that. That's all we wanted to do. So if anybody has this idea of this being this big grandiose resort with fountains and swimming pools and luscious landscaping and all that, put that completely out of your mind. If you have the idea that it's natural landscape of what Fraser Park already has with the pine trees, the pinyon trees, the chaparral bushes and the sage bushes, that's what we have. And it's not going to be this high density thing. It's going to be, they're going to have almost 2,800 square feet of just area for an RV. And then in between each RV is going to be almost another 2,800 square feet. So it's just going to be this natural Fraser Park environment where people are going to be able to live in their RVs at a reasonable rate and not be kicked out because of increasing rent prices in Fraser Park. And that's the whole thing of it. And, you know, we would hope the board would see value in that and be able to make some kind of compromise to make us be able to get started on it. And never in our wildest dreams did we think there'd be all this red tape to try to help out people, seniors in Fraser Park from getting kicked out and having to live on the streets.
Sam, I'd like to say something.
That's kind of where we're at.
Okay, and I understand what you're saying, and I understand your frustration, but you have to understand our frustration too. It's not about, you know, the problem that we're running into is I cannot guarantee. You're looking to put your life savings on the line, and I cannot guarantee you that our well will not fail, and then we're going to be in trouble. I can't guarantee that fact, and we're in the process of trying to get funding. And yes, the new well is going to happen. The question is when are we going to able to get the funding and get it done? I mean, we're trying to deal with the state, and unfortunately, dealing with the state and trying to get any kind of help takes a lot of time. And it is a lot of red tape, and that's what we're up against. And so if I say to you, I'm going to guarantee you water, and then we don't get funding, I don't want the district to be sued because you guys are it. Then you become in a world of hurt because we're not able to provide you water, and that's the situation. I think that's what Dee is talking about, and so as a board member, we could look to giving you a will serve with conditions that would be drawn up by our lawyer, but and I would probably be willing to do that. However, I'm not going to give a guarantee 100% that and I'm pretty confident that it's going to be okay, and that we're going to get the new well, and that our well isn't going to fail. But I can't make that guarantee offhand, and so that's the problem that that I don't know about the other board members, but that's kind of the way I see the situation. So I'm a little uncomfortable with it. I don't want to say, yeah, just go ahead, and then you end up getting screwed. And I don't want to see you guys get into trouble. So that's kind of the way I feel. I don't know what anybody else has to say on this.
Would there be any number that the board would feel comfortable that we could redraw our plans in a two-phase step? That we can say, all right, we'll redraw our plans and resubmit our CUP based on X amount of sites and then a second phase of it, the remaining. Is there any number that the board can see that they can be comfortable with?
That's what I was trying to ask Dee some time ago. I'm not sure that was answered.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say on that. I just don't think that, I don't think I'm not in a position to recommend to the board that they go ahead with this project as a guarantee. If, conditionally, that's one thing, but to guarantee something is quite another. And that would be that'd be my comments on this.
Yeah, like Dee said, we right now we have plenty of capacity because the well doesn't run all day long or all night long. So we have plenty of capacity, but it's just simply what happens if the well does fail before we get a new well drilled. That's our only,
No, I gotcha.
dilemma.
But realistically, we wouldn't even be using your water until probably you did get the new well in.
Yeah, so you would have to gamble that the new well would be in time for you to start selling that water, which is scary. If I was in your shoes, I don't know what I would do.
That's why if we knew we could do even a handful of sites, that would be enough that at least we can supplement the debt load on it and continue.
John,
Well,
Lisa, Dee, all of us, can we do a letter before we can, before this sphere is even completed?
no,
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
it would be contingent upon the sphere being completed and the well being in the ground. So we could do a letter with those clauses in it.
or I guess I think what the LaFocus are asking for is a letter with the sphere of influence clause, but not the well. And
And
I
saying
don't-
we could provide for say 4 or 5 spaces.
But the problem is that I'm not even sure how long the sphere of influence takes. So there's no guarantee that that's going to happen before you're, having some financial issues, because it's still like everything moves really slowly with the state and with the county. So, I mean, we're definitely ready to go forward, but we have to do this MSR. I mean, we definitely voted to move forward, so it's not like we're not moving forward. But I think at the very least, we would have to have the contingency of the sphere of influence, and the sphere of influence may take till April. And even if we go out of pocket on the well, I think we're still not going to be ready to actually proceed until probably, if we were to go completely out of pocket, we'd be lucky if it was in by May or June.
Right. That realistically, we're thinking July by the time it really gets done.
Right. So
Um,
I mean, all I can say is I think because realistically your time frame isn't much different from our time frame, that I don't think that, as long as you had that contingency of the well and the sphere of influence, I think that all this will converge at the same time. I
Right,
just there's just no guarantee, there's just no way to say yes, we can provide the water by April because it may not
right,
be. I
right,
know we're doing that well. I'm not gonna, as a board member, I'm going to be very unhappy if we're not working on that well by as soon as we can, do shovels in the ground and, May or something,
yeah,
one way or the other. We're trying to get money from the state before then because we also have the possibility that the well might fail before we even start work on it.
right,
And so, and if it fails in the middle of winter, we're not going to be able to work on it
yep,
if there's snow on the ground. So
gotcha.
that's our issue with an actual will serve that doesn't have contingencies attached to it. So the contingencies aren't, we're not going to do the well. The contingencies are, there's no way that this is probably going to be in the ground until, we'd probably converge about the same time, sometime in July, but we can't guarantee that. But
Right.
we certainly know that we need to replace that well before it fails, or a huge chunk of the town's not going to have water.
Right.
So it's not going to just be about not serving you. It's going to be that we can't serve, a whole portion of the town.
Yeah, no, how about this? Because you guys spent a lot of time on this, and I appreciate it. I want to just ask one more time. Is there any way you can do a conditional letter based on sphere of influence, grant us X amount of sites, you pick it, for water service as soon as the sphere of influence is done, and then the remaining of our project when the new well is done?
I also think that the LaFocas, they were on the meeting when we approved 2 will serve letters last or 2 weeks ago.
But those will serves are on a different well. So the problem is that the LaFocas are going to be served from well 5, but the will serves that we approved are actually served from well 6, which is a well that directly serves those properties.
That's
That's
correct.
just how our system works. So we can't,
And we
so
had already approved that before, and
And
they were
one of
just
them was-
renewing it.
correct. So one of them was pre-approved and we just renewed it, and that was approved like over a year ago. And then the other property is coming. Both of those properties are directly off of well 6. So it's kind of it's a moot point. We haven't approved anything off of well 5 right now. So I don't know. I think our engineer's saying it doesn't matter if it was like one house off of well 5, that we can't really say that we can provide water, because if that well fails between now and the time we're gonna dig it, a new one, that we wouldn't be able to provide water, which leaves us in a lawsuit. So I think that's our issue with a full will serve off of well 5. We can definitely do a contingent will serve off of well 5 after we talk to our attorney. We need to make sure that we're not missing something or crazy. But I believe that he's going to tell us that we probably can do a conditional will serve off of well 5, but that we would be in great exposure if we were to do a non-conditional will serve for anything, for even a single home off of well 5 right now, while it's in imminent danger of failing.
Okay. Do you think it would be possible to get that letter by next Wednesday?
I think what we need to do is get on a call immediately with our attorney. So I don't know if we can pick a date for that. I'm willing to be, I think we can put it as part of our project ad hoc that already exists. So I think we would just need to get Dee and Johnny and Director Nyman and myself on that call, so that it doesn't have to be a full meeting. And I think that if our attorney doesn't see any issues in it, we could ask him to do it, immediately once we do that call. So we would know whenever, as soon as we're able to make that call.
Yeah,
Do
but
we-
Lisa, he wants it by this next Wednesday. You guys don't meet until the next, at least Thursday.
We've been meeting constantly. We meet every single day just about lately. So, no, I don't think that that's true. That the meeting that you're talking about happens on the, it's a completely separate meeting, and that already happened on the 17th. But we just need to get together, so we could do it the same day that I'm already meeting with Director Nyman,
That's on Tuesday.
which is on Tuesday. But that's cutting it too close, so I think we would have to, but you said you're not available on the tomorrow, Director Nyman?
I could probably be available in the afternoon.
But Johnny's not normally. Are you available, Johnny, for just a phone?
Well, it
conference
depends on
call?
what time it is. It depends on what time it is. I have, my brother riding up here on his Harley. Supposed to meet him tomorrow afternoon and then ride down to Bakersfield. So it all depends on timing. I'll certainly pull over anytime the meeting is scheduled. So I'll send out an email to everybody tonight
Before
after the meeting
before
to
you
the
do that,
attorney.
before you do that, Dee, are you available tomorrow?
I'll be on the road. And so, I'm available by phone. So no problem.
So if we scheduled like a 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. meeting with the attorney, if he's available, sometime tomorrow afternoon.
That would be good. Probably around 2 o'clock might be best for me.
Yeah, for me too. So I'll send the email as soon as the meeting's over and see if Alan's available.
And I
And
guess
if
if
not,
he,
we'll try to schedule it for Monday.
yeah, if he's not, then I could do a later afternoon on Monday as well. I just have I'm down in Santa Clarita at doctor appointments.
I've got later afternoon on Monday too.
All right.
So
All
if
right,
we,
so that's what we'll
you know,
do.
after we have this meeting, I think that we would be able to give you folks an answer. So we would know by, we would know as soon as we were able to do that letter with the attorney.
Okay, that'd be great. And
So
you've
do
all
we
approved
have,
that
do we
you're
have
doing
to,
everything you can. I understand that.
Lisa, do we have to do a motion conditioned on the attorney doing a conditional?
I thought we didn't we already do that motion? I thought we did that motion at one of the previous meetings that we said we would move forward, but we just needed to talk to the attorney.
Yeah, but if we're gonna give them a letter, I mean, the letter has to be done before the next meeting. And so the letter would come from our attorney with the conditions. And so I think that we need to approve it as a board.
Yeah, I think, okay.
I can be available at 9, and I think Alan can be available at 9. We're talking about having a telephone call in the morning, and
What, tomorrow
so at
morning?
9 o'clock, yeah, so.
I can do 9. I just have to be somewhere by no later than 10:30.
Mhm.
Hold on, I have a doctor's appointment. Let me just look at what time it's at. Yeah, I could do 9 to 10. My appointment's at 10.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine too.
Okay.
So I don't need to send Alan email because we already have that scheduled for 9 o'clock, right, Dee?
Yeah, we should be able to, that's,
You just got to send us the conference call number.
yeah,
Z.
yeah.
Have
let's
Alan
see.
send it to us.
I think, yeah, how do we, I'm going to be on the road. Probably somebody who, Lisa, could you set it up like you've set up some of the other calls, the cell phone?
I can just do it on the cell phone. I think the only reason it didn't work with your phone is that you had 2 people on the same line.
Mhm.
So, but I don't have Alan's number. Do you want to email me or text that to me? And I can do my best to set that up at about 8:45.
I can get that to you right now. If you have a pencil or a pen,
Sure.
327
What is it again?
327
327,
9661.
in that 661 area code?
661 area code, yes.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll make the calls to everybody I'll start at 8:45, so I'll put Director Nyman, I'll put everybody on the phone first and then I'll call Alan.
Great, okay. And
Okay.
I should be on the road just about that time, so.
Okay, so I would like to move that we, if we're able, I don't even know how to phrase this. Let's see. I'd like to move that we approve a contingent letter, will serve letter, based on 3 factors, if we're able to. So we need to make sure that it's legitimate, something that we can do without legal exposure with our attorney. It needs to include a contingency for the sphere of influence, and it needs to include a contingency for the well 5 replacement.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Director Garcia seconded that. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried, 401 absent.
And then our only issue for the LaFocas is how quickly, if everything is okay with the attorney, how quickly he can get us that letter. But I would think that if we meet tomorrow, that we may be able to meet your Wednesday deadline.
That'll be great. Greatly appreciated. And all we can do is keep our fingers crossed and present it to the owner. And if he'll give us our extension, then we can keep moving forward. And this wouldn't have all been a waste of time.
Yeah,
Excellent.
hopefully not. Like I said, we're all for what you're doing. It's just, it was bad timing with our well and everything,
Yeah. I understand. And you all have proven that, you're behind it. So not for a second do we think you're not. It's just, I got to
Yeah.
try. I got to go for it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
All
you,
right.
Sam and Ken.
Thank you all.
Good night now.
Bye.
All right, do we want to have a brief recess?
No.
No.
No? Okay, on to 12, discussion vote on accounts payable and financial information.
Time. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter. And Dave and Dee and all them can leave if they'd like, right?
Whoa.
Wow, that was interesting.
I just have a comment to Brahma and Lisa. I sent you guys an email. I have a difference of about 90 cents in those claims that you got. They're not the claim 5, but in the 2 invoices from D. Jasper and Associates. I have different number. No, I have a difference of 60 cents.
Wait, on which? On the ones that Fraser Park is paying, or on
Yes,
the TA?
on
I mean,
the-
on your TA, or on the bills directly to Fraser Park?
No, on the ones that Fraser Park is covering for self-help.
Okay, so we aren't cutting those yet. So as long as you get that to us, we'll be able to, or get that to, to Director
Get that to
Nyman.
Tiffany.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just
No,
looking, I can't find all the stuff. I copied D, and I need to forward that to Kelly too, just for verification. Okay, good.
Yeah, well, we have to verify all that before we cut the checks anyway, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you can copy Director Nyman, myself, Tiffany.
Okay,
Okay.
all right,
Thank you.
so on to, go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so the total of the checks runs is $11,513.87. And so the balance as of today is in the revenue account is $79,811.36. So that's that, and that does include the invoices for D Jasper totaling $8,581.60. In addition, on claim 4, I was asked to review these numbers with Tiffany in the invoices I have. I never received an invoice for test well design, copies and prints for $92.63. So at this claim 4, that amount I do not have backup for.
Yeah, Dave,
Yes.
the,
We
She's-
need that. That's what you added onto at the last moment onto the,
well, you said that was on claim 4, that there was a discrepancy of $92.
it was for copies and prints. Test
Right,
wells-
it's an invoice. Exactly. April 30th, 2020, invoice number 20-04014. And there's no letter after that invoice number.
Yeah, we do have that. Let me pull that invoice right now. Hold on a second. 04. So we have that. It just may not be in your, because I looked at it today, so I know I have it.
Is it the invoice number 20-04014?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So that one, hold on, I'm just going to it right now. Oops. Before, did I not put them in order? Thought I put these all in order and I don't see it in my pile of stuff. Oh, 04, 03. Oh, 04, 014, 04, 014. Yeah, I don't have that invoice. Do you have that invoice, Director Nyman?
hold on a second.
You have it on your sheet.
Yeah, yes, I have, that invoice is 20-03014B, has
Oh,
300.
not 04014.
04013B is for
No,
300.
04014.
And not the one with the B, because there is a 2003014B.
You know what?
396, but we're looking at,
It's not on what I printed out that you sent.
No,
Robert.
what I have is I only had 3 invoices. I only had 3
right,
invoices.
that's all I have.
Right, so Dave,
So-
you said that there was a print one that was on claim 4.
Yeah,
that
9263 for test well design copies and prints.
Yeah.
We don't, none of us have that invoice.
Okay, I'm scanning it now and I can email it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in claim
Sounds
4.
good.
It's in claim 4.
So I don't have the claim 4 packet right in front of me, but I
Yeah,
have.
I don't either, but yeah, I only did what
Yeah,
I put on my,
Of the four
what's that?
of the four invoices that were in claim 4, for project and engineering charges. I only had 3 of the 4.
Right. And then I thought I sent you guys a note saying that was missing.
You
From like-
did. You did. You said the invoice April 30th, 2020, 200414 test well design copies and prints for 9263 was left out of the list in the email. So it's not in Brahma's list, but it's on
Right,
your-
because I only had the 3 invoices that we
Oh.
had corrected and went over. So I didn't have that one.
So we went over it when we did claim 4, but there were issues with claim 4. So yeah, we just need that again, Dave. I mean,
Okay.
I can look up the packet, but which I know where it is. I just don't have it in front of me right now. But I think maybe if you just send it back out to all of us, that'd be the most helpful.
Okay, send it to everybody, the board.
What, did you copy Tiffany?
I haven't sent it yet. I was just trying to, I'm on
Oh,
my AOL account, copying my scanned document, sending it to my work account, and then I'm gonna put it in an email.
I don't know if the board needs that. Does the board feel they need it? Because we already approved claim 4. So this is just cleanup so that we
Yeah,
can.
I do need it.
Yeah, just send it to Tiffany.
I know
You can send it to Tiffany, and copy me on it, and then Tiffany can print it out for.
Excuse me.
Oh,
And
go ahead. Go ahead, Director Schoenberg.
Just single point of accountability. It's not just to you, to me, you, and Tiffany. And
Yes.
Tiffany can give it to Linda.
Okay,
As long as the rest of the board's okay with that, because we already approved claim 4 and got paid for it. We're just trying to match the amounts and make sure that Linda's gonna cut the checks correctly.
I don't need a copy.
Terry?
I don't need a copy.
Yeah, I heard that. I'm asking Terry. Terry, do you need a copy?
I don't have any of them, so I guess not.
You do have it. You have it in claim 4. So your packet for claim 4 that we did like a couple months ago, you have it in that packet unless you got rid of it.
I don't need it.
Okay, she doesn't need it. Okay. Go ahead, Linda.
That's the end of my report.
Okay, well,
Okay.
we have some stuff, but before you start in on the checks, Brahma, can I just make some notes because it changes what Linda just reported?
Yes.
Okay, so I made a couple of transfers which had not been made to date. I sent them to both Linda and Tiffany. So I made one transfer in the amount of 18,000. I've got so much paperwork in front of me, I'm drowning in it. Where'd that paperwork go? I just printed it out. Okay, let me go to the email. Hold on, folks. Okay, so there's one invoice in the amount of $18,175. That's what I did is I transferred that from the pipeline. It's no longer called the pipeline. It's now called the emergency fund, but none of our names have changed on our account, even though we sent all this stuff into the bank and met with them directly and and still nothing has changed. So all of our names are incorrect, but basically the transfer says it's from the pipeline system reserve, but it's actually from the emergency based on our resolution. And that's going to the revenue operating fund, a one-time transfer of 18,175 to cover the HPS mechanical emergency potholing at Wolf Tank site and Manita Trail. We're reimbursing the revenue fund or our O&M because the money was taken out of there and it should have been taken out of the emergency. So I made that transfer today. It goes through tomorrow, but it's already in the queue. And I additionally made another transfer for $20,000. We were supposed to start the monthly transfers from our revenue operating fund to our emergency reserve. So basically our revenue operating fund is going to go up by 18,175, and then it's going to go down by 20,000. So the difference between those two. And so there's it's in the queue to be transferred every month now, starting tomorrow, monthly on the 25th of the month.
Okay, so I will set that up as an automatic entry so that it doesn't slip through the cracks.
Okay, so both of those are transferred, and
So
and I
there's,
have
okay, go ahead.
and I've not yet made the transfer, obviously, that we talked about this evening, which is the you know, the chunk of monies into the planning. So that's going to be taken out of the revenue as well into the planning, that one chunk of money. And then also the so the names haven't changed on any of the accounts. So I just need you guys to know that, even though we've tried multiple times, we need to try again. And then lastly, there was and now it's escaping me. So those are the ones that I can remember off the top of my head before we go over the bills.
Okay, I had a question. When is this moratorium lifting on when you can lock off people for non-payment of
We don't
water?
know. We have no idea. I just, a lady thought that we were gonna lock her off because we posted the notices like we do,
Yeah,
the required notices. And she sent an email to somebody at the State Water Resource Control Board in Sacramento. And they sent
Yes.
me back a letter stating that, you know, basically, don't I know that we can't lock people off because of the governor's mandate or the governor's law. So I don't have an answer to that other than they're still enforcing it.
wow, that puts us in a,
The latest I know, it's related and it has to do with evictions and all that. As far as I know, it's through the end of the year.
okay. I just know some people are probably taking advantage of that and is hurting us financially.
Probably be
Okay.
over November 4th.
Yeah. Shut up, Johnny. Let's not get into that. Okay, because you won't like my comment. Okay, okay, I had a question, Linda, because I'm confused on this ADP check. Because I'm looking at all the bills and it doesn't add up in
Okay,
my, but well, listen to
yeah,
what.
that ATP check,
Okay, let me just explain why I think the amount is incorrect. And I could be wrong, but you've attached something that showed a duplicate payment for $135.20. Okay? But then, and that was for a previous invoices, one for July. So it was apparently 135.20. But then you have attached to this, you have two ones. You have a bill reference for August 28th for 131.93, and then you have September for 131.93. But then you say balance due is 128.66 is what you're paying. If there was an overpayment, a double payment, number one, that would only wipe out, that would leave $3.20 on the one bill. And so if you take 135.20 and subtract that from from 131.93. What is that?
It's 327.
So that's $303.27, which would only wipe out, which would leave 327, and then the other bill is 131. So you'd have to add 131.93 plus 327. Would come to
No, minus 327.
no,
So it's
because
131,893 minus 327 equals the 128.66.
but you have two invoices here, hon. You have two invoices.
Okay, let
attached.
me explain. Let me explain. Okay. There was an invoice that was mistakenly paid twice. And so that left an overpayment of $135 and some odd cents. You have
Right.
the exact number.
135.
Then we got right. So then we got an invoice for $131.93. So that invoice was applied towards that overpayment of $135, which left an overpayment
No,
of
it would,
$3.20.
that would
Let me
be, that would,
finish.
how could it be an overpayment? Because if it,
Because
Okay,
the
okay.
double payment was
okay,
got it?
yeah,
So-
okay,
So then the second invoice came in for $131.93, then subtract the remaining
yeah, yeah,
overpayment
yeah,
of
yeah.
$327,
Okay.
brought it down to 28.
okay,
Got it?
okay. Hold on, yeah. Give me a second. I understand what I did. Okay, so that left 327. Okay. And,
The 126.
okay, yeah.
Correct.
Hold on, Director Schoenberg. Okay, so that is correct. Okay, no problem. Yeah, no, I understand. I mixed the,
All
I
right.
mixed it up. I thought it was off, but that one is
That's
correct.
common error. That's common. I've seen.
I don't know my debits from my credits. Okay. Then we had an work for PGA and Electric, Johnny, for 920. What, it says includes service truck and tooling. What was that for? Do you know?
You think you can repeat that for me?
PGA Electric,
Yeah.
it says the work order says check rotation at Gene, change rotation at MCC plug box, brown,
That's when
orange.
It's when we had to rent generators for the power outages because the power pole replacement. And when you rent a generator, you have to have an electrician come up and make sure they hook it up correctly, because if you reverse the wires, the pump spins the opposite direction.
So where was that actually at?
At the yard.
Okay.
And
So
then,
can,
and then what I
Will-
ended up doing was I got the guy to show me, and I took a picture of it. So if I have to rent another generator, I may be able to hook it up myself without having them come out.
okay, I just am interested in having it notated on there that that's for the yard.
Okay.
It doesn't say that anywhere.
Well,
Okay,
it wasn't gonna, it wasn't gonna technically be for the yard. It was gonna be for the backup for Pine One and Harrison Tank. But he did it at the yard because all the boxes are wired exactly the same. So because P&J designed it that way with our SCADA cabinets from the last project. So the leads are color coded. So if it's hooked up correctly in the yard, it'll be hooked up correctly whichever side I go to.
Right.
And we had a large portion of the town that was out of power, so we didn't know which site we were going to be taking it to.
Okay, so I guess instead of putting yard, let's just put multiple sites portable generator.
Okay.
That'd be great, yeah.
Linda, can you make a note of that?
Did you guys know it's gonna be out again on October 4th?
Yeah, well, now I have my generator back, so hopefully we'll be able to handle that.
It'll be out on October 2nd right here, so we're gonna have the same problem that we potentially had with Wolf to, yeah, it's
What
out
did you want it to say, Director Schoenberg? Multiple?
multiple locations, I don't know, I got interrupted, multiple locations portable generator. Or multiple tank sites portable generator. But Linda needs to note that. So you got that, Linda?
I've written it on the,
Yeah, and so if that could be written on the work orders for me, so more descriptive on the work orders,
yeah.
that would be very helpful.
Okay, we did have a question, because Johnny had written on a Ferguson. The Ferguson one for $518.95. You put it all to distribution, but it looks like he only had, 2 items to distribution, but there were 2 tools on this. He'd written tool, and that should have gone to tool.
Yeah, I wrote that explicitly. I tried to really go over the invoice as well this time to make sure that it was assigned to the correct.
So there was
category.
so one of them was a tool.
I remember there being one like,
But if you
I
look on,
remember
if you
there
look
being one
on,
like that, so.
if you look on your check detail shows you put that whole amount to distribution. And really,
Okay, I'll look at it.
all right, so that's the one for $518.95. When you get back this thing, there's,
Yeah,
because there's 2 tools.
just so that you know, just so that you're aware, on the report, it doesn't always show all the ways it was split up on a check. For a invoice. So I will check it to make sure it was, because I do remember that invoice. So I think I
Okay.
did do it correctly. It's just not showing the breakout here, but I will
Okay.
double check it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, and I think that was it. So with that, I would entertain a motion that we pay our bills.
I'd like to move that we pay our bills.
I'll second that.
Okay, Director Garcia seconded that. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's an aye, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, motion carried 4-0, absent. Okay, managers report, number 13.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. We've been swamped with leaks and trying to get meter reads done in the midst of the leaks. So we haven't gotten nearly as much potholing done as we had anticipated. But the whole crew's been working their butts off, and we've managed to keep ahead of the curve on that with the leaks and everything. But next week we're going to really try to knuckle down and try to get some more of the potholing done. And so far we're proving what I suspected with Manita area. So Monday we'll find out more on Oregon Trail.
Okay. Okay, on to number 14, review and approve meeting minutes for August 13th, 2020 and 2027.
I'd like to make a correction.
Okay, yeah, because I.
Yeah, go ahead.
Number 9 on page 4. Second to the last line. It says, if it hasn't ran out, then work can be done to find the escrow. It should be if it hasn't run out.
Correct. I have that same amendment.
I also have a correction on page 2.
Okay, can we start from the beginning? Because I think that,
Okay. That's the only one I had.
The only one I have is on page 2. Municipal service review should be review, not REVUE.
Where is it?
In the middle of
the page,
the page.
yeah, review is spelled incorrectly.
Ah, got it.
That was the only one that I saw on this. Do you have anything else to add, Director?
I had both of those, and let me just double check. No, that was it, just those two.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion.
I have a question.
Sure.
On page 4, on number 9, it said that our clerk found that old account. Whatever happened with that?
I'm sorry, what was that?
On the unclaimed account credit?
Yeah, Tiffany has an update on those.
Yeah, she'll update us on the regular meeting, I think. 'Cause that
Correct.
kind of-
I'll update you at the regular meeting.
That's out of order. We can't really
I
discuss
was just
that.
wondering, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, she's gonna bring it up at the next regular meeting.
She's done a lot of work on it, though, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, August 13th, 2020, with the amendments mentioned and the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
Do I hear a
And I
second?
second that.
Director Garcia has seconded that. Roll call of directors. Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
401 absent. Motion carried. Okay, on to August 27th.
So I have an amendment I'd like to see on page 1, which is at the bottom paragraph.
Yeah,
Says the district is still waiting on a signed license agreement for the Wainwright French property. They are asking that it sounds like the district is asking if you could put the French Wainwright are asking that the option to purchase the property be lowered from 5 years to 2 years. So instead of saying they, I think we just need it to reflect who they are.
yes. The only correction that I had was on page 8.
Can we go page by page? Because I have something on 2.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so on 2, the motion at the bottom of the page on 2, it says mention part of our sphere of influence and cutting it into 2 separate spheres of influence. So it's the same thing. It needs to say cutting the current map, not it. Does that make sense, Tiffany?
Yep, it sure does.
I'll put an
Okay.
asterisk on that one.
Okay, and then I have something on page 3, where it says the motion up at the top of the page. It says rather than 5 for both of the Wainwright and French properties, it's for both the Wainwright and French properties, not both of. Just, so move that we allow D to redefine the license agreement for 2 years for both the Wainwright and French properties.
Oh, getting rid of the of.
Yeah, because both sounds like there's 2 of each or something.
Right. Okay.
And then I also have at the bottom of the page, on that same page on 3, it says, Lawrence Sanchez explained that 2 notices of exemption have already been filed that cover the test wells. That's the same correction we made on the other one that I brought up earlier. The NOEs didn't cover the test wells, they cover the project, but not the specific test well sites.
Well, it's in parentheses on the second page, although they are not site specific.
Right, but it doesn't
Oh,
cover
okay.
the test wells, it covers the project. Although it is not site specific. I mean, I think it just needs to, although they are not site, yeah, I guess that would be correct, but it doesn't cover the test wells, so it just needs to be fixed like what Dave was trying to do on the other one. Even though I know it says they're not site specific, but it's still, and then, I had something on page 5 where it says, 5A, update on USDA grand loan. It's supposed to be grant.
Oh, and this, okay, yeah, grant loan. It's a grand loan.
And then, let's see. And then on page 7, on item number 10, it says the board asked Linda to update the financials with the new account names, but we also said the bank, we need to ask the bank again. So Linda can't update, she can update her records, but she can't update the printouts that show the banking names.
We'll put the bank instead of Linda.
Well, it needs to be both, because we asked her to update and we need to ask the bank to update, or we said we needed to update with the bank. And then I have the same one probably Brahma has on 8, so go ahead, Brahma.
At the bottom of the page, realized is with an S instead of a Z.
Yeah.
Lisa always catches more stuff than I do.
Does anyone else do you have any more?
Nope.
No, that's
Nope,
all I
that's
have.
it.
Okay, so I'd like to move that we approve the minutes for Thursday, August 27th, 2020, with the amendments we just talked about and the possibility for additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
I'll second that.
Director Garcia seconded that. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelling,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Motion carried 401 absent. Okay, discussion vote on future agenda items.
We need to discuss holidays for November and December. Are we going the week before?
Yeah, so actually I have a note on that already. Director Kelly, you're right on the October meeting. It's gonna choose the dates for the second meeting in November and December. I had a question. Are you ready to have the PAS employee hotline for October? Or do we need that to wait till November?
I would recommend November because so far the feedback I'm getting from everybody's really, really happy with the work environment right now. And I think you can probably decide if we want to continue that during the November meeting.
But wait, we're already paying for it.
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be quarterly.
Yeah,
what-
you were gonna revote at the quarter, so.
Oh, I
Was
see, you
just
want to know.
verifying when you were gonna decide if you were gonna do the next quarter.
I see, okay.
And then is it too early, or do you want to wait till November to do the vote on whether or not to do the final rate increase for January?
Yeah.
I think November,
November?
yeah.
Yeah. And what are we thinking, just having two meetings back to back on the November, the 12th and 19th, and December, the 10th and 17th, or what are we thinking?
Well, we can't talk about that till the next agenda.
Okay, well, let's be thinking about it, and
Yeah,
that makes sense to me, so I don't
Because
know.
we're not gonna do it on Thanksgiving.
No. Nor
Well,
Christmas
we can
Eve.
make Dave work on Thanksgiving, but anyway.
Oh, stop.
Okay, I'd like to, entertain, it. If that's it, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Director Kelly, second. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Gibson's absent, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Nyman's and I, Director Schoenberg.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned at 9:00.
Perfect
Thank you,
timing.
everybody.
And I have a check to bring by to you. Oh shit, I put that in wrong. Great.
Oh, what?